Now, breaking news from WRAL. Coverage you can count on.
At least 12 bodies have been recovered in the aftermath of a helicopter colliding with a plane carrying U.S. figure skaters. Join me in the live center in seconds as we show you aftermath vantage points.
And loved ones of people who were on board that plane are left heartbroken.
I'm just praying that somebody's pulling her out of the river right now as we speak. That's all I can pray for. I'm just praying to God.
Reaction from D.C. as families are waiting. They're gathering now, trying to get some answers. And flight schedules at RDU and elsewhere are affected as Reagan Airport is closed until at least 11 o'clock this morning. What you need to know if you are traveling today. Straight up 6 o'clock, the time right now. It's been 16 years since we've talked about a U.S. plane crash of this nature. It was in Buffalo then. It is in the heart of our nation's capital now. Good morning to you. I'm Jeff Hogan.
And I'm Renee Chu. Our hearts go out to the families affected as we continue to stay on top of that big national story. First, let's get a check of the weather with Elizabeth Gardner. Yesterday, we got into the 70s, and we are back in with a cold morning.
We are. We have clear skies, and that allowed our temperatures to drop again overnight last night. Officially in the Triangle, we're in the low 40s, but most of us are seeing temperatures in the 30s heading out the door. Mainly clear this morning, but we'll see increasing clouds, and our pattern starts to change today. We'll have the potential for a few sprinkles this evening, as well as tomorrow morning, and then our front and some thunderstorms tomorrow. 41 degrees. Our winds are calm. That's a big difference from yesterday. 37 in Roxborough, 36 Rocky Mount, 37 in Goldsboro, Clinton, and Fayetteville, 35 right now in Southern Pines. So it is coat weather this morning. It is still going to be a mild afternoon. Instead of 72, though, we're back down into the mid 60s. Our rain chances today minimal. Just a small chance of a sprinkle later on this evening. But we do have the chance of some light rain in the morning. I'll show you who that's most likely to impact. And then everybody sees our front tomorrow night. I'll show you what to expect and when we could see a few storms coming up. Ken?
Elizabeth, at 6:01, we're following developments on Lynn Road this morning. A couple of incidents just reported. A crash in the eastbound lane on Lynn Road proper, and then there's a crash in the westbound lane on Lynn Road, a little bit closer to Lead Mine Road, but as you can see from our sensors, not picking up any delays in that particular area. I know that's close to the Leesville schools, and many of you use those routes to get to those schools, but no incidents to report whatsoever in terms of delays. And we're not seeing any delays on any of our major routes from Brundell to Raleigh-Durham and Chapel Hill. Traffic is constantly changing. You're getting ready to head out the door. Get in the habit of tuning us in on the radio, 101.5 HD3.
Back to the breaking news. 12 bodies have been recovered from the Potomac River after an American Airlines plane and an Army Black Hawk helicopter crashed near D.C.'s Reagan International Airport. We are expecting that number to grow as well this morning. We expect our next official update to come from D.C. 7:30 this morning, about 90 minutes from now. Just before 3 a.m., the U.S. figure skating team confirmed several of its team members are among the victims. And Russian state media is saying that there were 2 Russian skating coaches on that plane as well. The search continues this morning in the frigid waters of the Potomac River. And we have this look right now. More than 300 first responders part of that effort. Chris Levingood is monitoring all the latest developments in the WRAL Live Center for us right now. Chris.
Well, Jeff, and I tell you what I've been trying to do essentially is finding some of the more compelling video to just show exactly what we see here unfolded, both the aftermath and the moment of impact. Let me pull up some video here just to kind of show you. This is the moment where the impact actually happens. This is through what's called EarthCam. We kind of use this as it's continued to run. But you see here in the middle of the screen, you'll see right there where the 2 aircraft, give it a moment, and you'll see that beam of light right there. That's the moment of impact. And then this right here is during the search and rescue operations happening in the Potomac River, where you see the first responders there, and the plane reportedly broke in 2 pieces. Something to think about there. We're going to keep looking to see other reaction that's coming in from the U.S. figure skating world, and also regarding those 2 Russian coaches that were on the figure skating team as well. We'll bring you more information here in the next 15 minutes here in the WRAL Live Center.
Reagan National Airport will be closed until at least 11 this morning, and that's affecting flight schedules across the country, including at RDU. WRAL's Kelsey Coffey joins us live from RDU. And Kelsey, what are you seeing on the flight board right now?
Renee, I've been tracking cancellations and delays here at RDU throughout the morning. So there are 11 cancellations total here at RDU, according to FlightAware. If you take a look at the flight board here, it's only showing those 3 flights there at the bottom, but that's common for the flight board to be a little bit behind in tracking that information. Now, 9 of those flights that are canceled here at RDU are either to or from Reagan National Airport. We also check the airport in Charlotte, as a lot of folks flying in and out of RDU may have connecting flights there. 9 flights to and from Reagan National are canceled at that airport. So we expect that these cancellations will have an impact on flight schedules nationwide throughout the day. Now, Reagan National Airport officials say they are grounding all of their flights until at least 11 o'clock this morning. So we'll be sure to stay on top of any cancellations or delays that could impact people's travel plans here at RDU. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News, live at RDU.
We're hearing from loved ones of some of the people who are on the plane. One man received a message from his wife minutes before the plane crashed over the Potomac River.
She texted me that they were landing in 20 minutes. I'm just praying that somebody's pulling her out of the river right now as we speak. That's all I can pray for. I'm just praying to God.
That plane colliding with a helicopter while landing at Reagan Airport near Washington, D.C. We know 60 passengers were on board that plane, as well as 4 crew members. Army officials say 3 soldiers were on board the helicopter.
The CEO of American Airlines says he's on his way to Washington as the investigation into the crash begins. Robert Isom released a video statement late last night.
I'd like to express our deep sorrow about these events. This is a difficult day for all of us at American Airlines, and our efforts now are focused entirely on the needs of our passengers, crew members, partners, first responders, along with their families and loved ones.
Isom said American Airlines will have a team working around the clock to support the families of the people who were on board that plane.
President Donald Trump says the crash should have been prevented. After midnight, he posted to Truth Social saying, quote, "The helicopter was going straight at the airplane for an extended period of time. It is a clear night. The lights on the plane were blazing. Why didn't the helicopter go up or down or turn?" Those were the president's words. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth says the Pentagon and Army have launched an investigation.
This is the first commercial air crash in the United States in nearly 16 years. 49 people died when a Colgan Air flight crashed near Buffalo in February of 2009. The NTSB investigation into that crash found the captain and first officer were both fatigued, and they did not properly respond to a stall warning.
We are staying on top of this story all day long on TV and online. Download the WRAL News app to get push alerts straight to your phone. It is free to download. And coming up in less than 10 minutes, we will have a live report from NBC News' Alice Barr in Washington.
Back here at home, other news, we're following breaking news out of Orange County. I-85 is back open now after an early morning crash near Chapel Hill. This was the scene from the WRAL breaking news tracker around 2:30 this morning. The right lane of I-85 was closed for several hours after a truck driver fell asleep at the wheel. Nobody was hurt. You can see the damage to the front end of that vehicle, though, and the lane reopened around 4:30 this morning.
A man is recovering after being shot in Durham. Police say they were called to Naples Place shortly after 10 last night. That's where they found a man who had been shot. He was taken to the hospital and is expected to recover. The incident is under investigation, and anyone with information is asked to contact Crime Stoppers. This morning, 3 more Israeli hostages being held by Hamas are being released. 2 women, ages 19 and 29, will be released. An 80-year-old man will also be released. The Israeli government says Hamas is expected to release 5 Thai citizens it's been holding hostage. Hamas says Israel is also expected to release 110 Palestinian prisoners, including 30 children.
This morning, the head of the state government office in charge of hurricane recovery will address state lawmakers. A legislative oversight committee will hear testimony from the head of Rebuild NC under former Governor Roy Cooper. They'll also hear from Governor Josh Stein's top advisors for Helene relief efforts. This will be the second day in a row of Helene-related meetings.
Today, we'll get an update on plans to add an entertainment district and mixed-use development around the Lenovo Center. Raleigh City Council will address the rezoning plans during a special meeting today. The 27-acre entertainment district around the arena is expected to include a music venue, hotel, and other buildings. A 12-acre mixed-use development along Edwards Mill Road could include buildings up to 40 stories high. City Council will be talking about this at their meeting at 4 this afternoon.
Critical funding on pause. How cuts to federal support could affect the health of our most vulnerable populations.
And we are following that breaking news in our nation's capital, where crews are searching the Potomac River after a plane with 64 people on board crashed with an Army helicopter.
Today, we'll see increasing clouds as our next system approaches. This rain that's heading into Atlanta could be here for the evening commute. And then, of course, the cold front could bring storms for tomorrow. I'll walk you through the timeline for all of it.
As you get into your car, tune to WRAL News Plus on your radio. In Raleigh on 99.3 FM. In Durham, 96.5 FM. And everywhere on 101.5 HD3.
6:13. We had a very windy day yesterday, so we check in with Wilson here, the Whirligig Park, and things are pretty still this morning. That's good news. There were a few fires that popped up in our viewing area and in the mountains, and the lighter winds today should keep that to potential down a little bit. We're looking at mostly clear skies this morning. Some high, thin clouds are beginning to build into the area, so that's what we'll likely see when the sun comes up. And it's cold. It's 33 in Tarboro, 31 now in South Hill, 36 degrees in Rocky Mount, 37 in Fayetteville. We had 72 yesterday, but when our skies cleared last night and the winds calmed, it allowed our temperatures to really drop quickly. Not as warm as yesterday, but it's still going to be a mild afternoon with highs in the mid-60s. Coming up, we'll talk about the timeline for tomorrow's rain and storms. Ken?
Elizabeth, yet another crash being reported on Lynn Road. This is what I'm talking about. This crash now being reported near Candlewood Drive. The other two crashes on Lynn Road, a bit closer to Lead Mine Road. Our friends at Raleigh Wake 911 reporting that maybe one of these crashes is blocking the road, but our sensors are not picking up any delays in that area, so just keep that in mind. But all other major routes are delay-free at this hour. And coming up in the next few minutes, Renee, we'll check in to see how those major routes are doing coming into the capital city and the Bull City.
All right, Ken, thank you. We are staying on top of that breaking news in Washington, D.C. So this is a live look at the search and rescue mission happening right now on the Potomac River. An American Airlines plane and a military helicopter collided near Reagan Airport. 64 people were on that plane and 3 were on the helicopter. And NBC Washington's reporting that more than a dozen bodies have been recovered from the river. We'll get another update from officials in D.C. at 7:30 this morning.
That flight was bound for D.C. from Wichita, Kansas. And Kansas Senator Jerry Moran says Wichita is a tight-knit community. This is hitting a lot of people there hard.
In Kansas and in Wichita in particular, we're going to know people who are on this flight, know their family members, know somebody. So this is a very personal circumstance as well as an official response.
The city of Wichita plans to hold a prayer vigil at noon today.
The search and rescue operations have been happening all night long in the icy Potomac waters. NBC News' Alice Barr joins us live this morning from Washington. Alice, this has certainly been a long night for a lot of people in D.C.
Renee, it really is a heartbreaking situation. It's hard to overstate just the pain around this and, of course, the questions about how this could have happened. We did have a briefing overnight with emergency responders, state and local officials. They weren't able to answer a whole lot of direct questions, though, as far as casualties, fatalities. We know that no one has been pulled from the water alive at this point. Our affiliate here in Washington is reporting, according to 2 sources close to the investigation, that more than a dozen bodies have been pulled from the water at this point. And we heard from the D.C. Fire and EMS Chief John Donnelly talking about the conditions. He said the water that they're operating in is only about 8 feet deep, giving you an idea of what the depth was that the plane and the helicopter crashed into after their midair collision. He said there's wind, there are pieces of ice. It's very cold, obviously, in the water out there, so it's a dangerous dark, difficult circumstance to be working in for the divers and the crews that have been out there trying to get a look at the inside of these two aircraft. And we do know that the plane is now in pieces in the river. The helicopter was flipped over on its top at one point, and it was difficult for divers to be able to get it stabilized enough to be able to get inside. So, yeah, a very, very difficult situation for sure.
And Alice, 64 people were on that plane, 3 on the helicopter. And this morning we're learning about some of the victims. Some of them were figure skaters.
Yes, we heard from U.S. Figure Skating, the national organization, confirming that several coaches, athletes, and family members were returning from a training camp for top juvenile figure skaters that was happening in Wichita. This is a premier event for really up-and-coming and, key to note, young skaters in that community. And so they were on board. We've also learned that there were a couple of Russian figure skaters that were on there, the 1994 world champions in pairs figure skating. Evgenia Shishkova and Vadim Namov were on board, according to officials in Russia. So you're just getting kind of some texture and personal touch to what is clearly a devastating tragedy.
Alice Barr, we appreciate the update on this horrible national tragedy there unfolding in Washington, D.C. Thank you.
6:18 the time right now. Next official updates coming from D.C. 7:30. We'll have live reports on that as well. Elizabeth Gardner, meantime, with an update on these mild temperatures here to close out January.
Yeah, it's nice and quiet for us weather-wise. We are seeing some clouds starting to stream in. We'll likely see a nice sunrise this morning. Fayetteville, Raleigh, Apex, and Chapel Hill. Chapel Hill, of course, courtesy of Top of the Hill Restaurant. We're looking at our big picture, which is starting to change. It's been very dry for us. You can see this band of rain here moving into Georgia and Atlanta. That's going to swing through actually this evening and bring us just a very small chance for rain. And then the rest of the system moves through. On the south side of this warm front right here, some very warm air. And so that's going to bump up our temperatures to near records for tomorrow. And then the cold front comes through. This is a very spring-like pattern. So we could end up with our first thunderstorms of the year with this situation. So very warm and windy with this tomorrow. The rain starts early evening in terms of when it comes through with the front. That's when the storms are most likely. But this afternoon, this evening, this is a look at today at around 8 p.m. There could be just a little bit of light rain as that warm front lifts northward. That means a warmer night for us and a very warm day tomorrow. And then the cold front comes through. That's going to bring us that chance of thunderstorms. Let's drill in a little bit closer and take a look at our high resolution model here. At 5 o'clock, a sprinkle or two. This is today, and they're at 8 o'clock. So during the evening commute or dinner time, there could be a little bit of light patchy rain today. And then cloudy skies for tomorrow. First thing in the morning, there's 3 a.m., a few showers. A lot of that starts to lift northward before we get into the bulk of the morning commute. But the evening commute could be a bit wet for tomorrow. That's lunchtime. This is 5 o'clock, and here comes the rain. Some scattered thunderstorms there at 8 o'clock, and by midnight, it is all moving out. Futurecast is showing 1/4 inch of rain. I wouldn't be surprised if we see thunderstorms. Some people see a little bit more than that. But this will move out on Friday night, and plans for the weekend look fine. Saturday, Sunday, and Monday all look sunny, and we'll see a warming trend. Of course, Krispy Kreme Challenge is Saturday, and we're looking at nice weather for that. Saturday's high, a little cooler, 60, 58 on Sunday. Sunday, of course, is Groundhog Day. And if you liked those 70s, we have more 70s in our forecast Monday and Tuesday. Highs are in the 70s as well, Ken.
A nice taste of spring, Elizabeth. Thanks. Hey, listen, we got a lot going on Lynn Road of all roads. 3 crashes to report. This one on Candlewood Drive. The other 2 are closer to Lead Mine Road. But our sensors are not picking up any delays in that area. But just to be on the safe side, just so you know about it, if Lynn Road is part of your morning commute down in Garner, West Garner Road, eastbound lane near Vandora Hills Place. This is near a neighborhood, but if that sounds familiar to you, I just wanted you to know about it. But all our major routes are delay-free at this hour, as we can see from this look at I-540 and 6 Forks Road. You're getting ready to head out the door right now. You can tune us in on the radio, 101.5 HD3. You can listen to us anywhere in the Triangle.
Ken, thanks. A wildfire in the western part of our state is burning hundreds of acres. How it got started and the effort to keep it from spreading.
Also, just in the last 5 minutes, the number of confirmed deaths in the D.C. crash is now at least 30. Chris Levingood is staying on top of this story in the WRAL Live Center. We'll have an update next.
Chris Lovingood here in the WRAL Live Center. As we're still looking at reaction that is pouring in online, let me show you here what I've managed to find online, including from President Donald Trump saying overnight, obviously he said earlier as he reported that the crash between the plane and the helicopter should not have happened, but also said, quote, "What a terrible night this has been. God bless you all." Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau also reacting, saying that we are all extremely concerned about the accident at Reagan National Airport. As we wait for more details, my thoughts are with those on board, their loved ones, and their first responders right now. We also saw a reaction from Luke Wang. He's actually a Team USA pair skater there who was actually in Wichita just last week. He said that he's praying for all those on flight from Wichita to D.C. And lastly, Ethan Pearl, a Team USA ice dancer, simply saying, "Dear God, I can't take this. Hug your loved ones. I'm sorry."
Chris, thanks. The White House has rescinded its freeze for aid programs that affect millions of Americans, but cuts will still be coming. Among them, President Trump has called for a ban on diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives in the federal government and supported by the government. People in our state who are fighting to solve the Black maternal and infant mortality crisis are speaking out. A health advocate tells WRAL federal funding helps keep mothers and their babies alive.
I don't know that anyone has really thought through the ripple effects of such an immediate action and how it impacts everyone, even our most vulnerable citizens who are those little babies in the NICU.
The state health department tells WRAL about $40 billion from their budget comes from the federal government. They were unable to give an exact number on how much of that money addresses health equity issues.
Months after a cyber attack, the town of Apex is still working through some issues. That hack last summer affected the town's utility billing process. It caused some people to get double billed. Officials say all residents should now be getting accurate bills at this point. But just this week, the town brought in an outside company to review its systems. That company will run simulated bills for all 30,000 residents to check for any lingering issues.
Today, we start to see our pattern changing. We'll see increasing clouds today, and we could end up with just a little bit of light patchy rain during the evening commute. I'll show you how our front will affect us tomorrow, coming up.
And we've just learned that more than 30 bodies have been recovered from the Potomac River, where an American Eagle flight and a military helicopter collided. What we're learning about the victims and the response from emergency crews.
And with Reagan National Airport closed, there are flight delays and cancellations at RDU International. You're looking at the big board inside the airport right now. What you need to know if you are traveling to our airport this morning.